going to go ahead and get started. Hey folks, I'm Allie Wilson, Chief Development Officer for Pisgah Legal Services, and I'm so glad to see all of you here today. Before we jump in, I'd like to welcome Omar from Sensotle Language Justice Cooperative. They are providing interpretation services today. Omar?
Hi everybody, I'm Omar. I am one of the interpreters this evening. That is Ada, she's going to be my co-terp today. We are with Sensotle Language Justice Co-op. We're located in Asheville, North Carolina, in the West Asheville, Emma neighborhood. This will be a bilingual space, so we encourage folks to speak in the language that they prefer. I will be interpreting in a simultaneous format, so if you see me, you might hear me. I'm not being rude, I'm just interpreting in real time. We ask panelists and speakers to just try and speak a little slowly if possible. Hola a todos, soy Omar, soy intérprete con Sensotle. Ella va a ser mi co-intérprete hoy. Es un espacio bilingüe. Por favor, hablen el lenguaje que prefieren y si por favor pueden hablar un poquito más despacio que normal. Gracias.
Thank you. For those who may be newer to our work, Pisgah Legal provides a broad range of free civil legal aid, anti-poverty advocacy, and access to health care across 18 counties in Western North Carolina. We've been serving this community since 1978, and just last year alone, we helped nearly 28,000 people. We're hosting this Lunch and Learn today because of what we're all seeing right now: shifting immigration policies, increasing demand for services, and growing uncertainty for many immigrant families in our community. Pisgah Legal has been providing free immigration legal services for more than 20 years through our Justice for All program. For many years, we had only one immigration attorney doing this work, but over the years, thanks to strong community support, we've added capacity to the team, including hiring our fourth immigration attorney just last year. Yes. Now the team includes 4 staff attorneys, an accredited Department of Justice rep, and 2 legal assistants. All team members are fully bilingual in English and Spanish. I'd love for all the JFAP team members to raise their hands or stand up so we can acknowledge them and thank them for their work. Through the Justice for All program, Pisgah Legal provides legal advice and representation to help immigrants obtain work authorization or lawful status to improve their safety, security, and well-being. But our legal support is one piece of a much larger picture. There's a broad network of partner agencies supporting the immigrant community here in Western North Carolina. I want to extend a warm welcome to Dulce from SEMA, Norma from UNITE, and Marianne from Vecinos, who will be joining us for a panel discussion shortly. We're so grateful for your collaboration and the essential role you each play. I also want to thank our partners who helped make this event possible, including our host, St. Mary's Episcopal Church, and Gypsy Queen for providing the delicious food. I particularly want to thank Best Buy Metals, whose financial support made this event complimentary for all to attend. And I want to invite Tammy Potter up to say a few words from Best Buy Metals.
Thank you for the introduction. Good afternoon, everybody. I'm Tammy Potter with Best Buy Metals, and we are an in-house manufacturer of metal roofing, siding, commercial gutters, and American pole barns. So you may wonder, why are we here today? But we truly are a service-first company, which means we believe in giving back to the community that we live and serve. And matters like we're discussing today are very important to us. We are very passionate about the work that Pisgah Legal provides, not only to Buncombe County, but to all of Western North Carolina. So we're really proud to lean in and be able to support events like today. So thank you for having us. It's a pleasure to be here. So thank you.
Thank you, Tammy. And now I'd like to invite Jacob Oakes, the director of our Justice for All program, up next.
Thanks, Allie, Tammy, everybody. I'm Jacob Oakes. I am the director of the immigration program here at Pisgah Legal. I've been here for 9 years working as an immigration attorney at Pisgah Legal Services. I've been the director for about half that time. I have the privilege of working with all these folks every day that you saw raise their hand a few minutes ago. A couple volunteers, at least one is in the audience as well, that works with us. So, my team, we're passionate, hardworking, they're dedicated, and, particularly at this point in time, having to be and are very resilient. I'm just going to, before we get into the main program here, briefly explain a little bit about what we do to support the immigrant community here in Western North Carolina. Who is it that we serve? At the base level, we serve non-citizens who are living in Western North Carolina, who are eligible for our services and need to obtain work authorization, maintain it, obtain or maintain their lawful status, apply for maybe a green card, and to avoid being removed. Often all those goals, or several of them, are overlapping. So what is it that we do? Unfortunately, the reality is that many folks who don't have lawful status or work authorization, they're simply not going to qualify. They don't qualify. This isn't for lack of trying or choice. It's just there is simply no pathway available. But in some cases, there are avenues to relief. We call them immigration remedies. And our job is to teach people about what they may be, and if we can and are able, in certain cases, to support them by representing them to seek those remedies, to get that work authorization, or ideally, lawful status, ideally a permanent lawful status, and to help people remain in the country if we can. Most of what we do falls into the category of humanitarian type remedies, victims of crime, child abuse, neglect, human trafficking, folks that may have fled some kind of danger in their home country. We work through these cases sometimes for many years. For example, like a victim of crime who might be eligible for a U visa could take 20, 25 years before they get that relief. A juvenile who might be eligible for a special immigrant visa, it really could take 6 or 7 years before we can get them a green card. And they may be actively facing removal proceedings during that time. And our job really is to try to get... Is that better? Sorry. To try to get them work authorization while we can, if we can, during that long wait time, and to frankly keep them in the country during that period of time as they reach their ultimate goals. Of course, always, but more importantly over the past year and plus, we educate people about their rights. No matter where you're from, where you were born, what your lawful status is, if you don't have lawful status, you are protected by the rights that are afforded to people in the United States under the U.S. Constitution, including rights to due process and unlawful searches and seizures. And so we teach people about that. Why is this work necessary, right? I mean, I think at its core, we do this work at Pisgah because Pisgah has a mission to reduce poverty. And if we can help people to obtain work authorization, they can be on an even playing field with other folks. If we can help people remain in the United States, get lawful status, that frankly leads to a healthier life, less anxiety. And if people can have those opportunities to meet their goals, to have the same fair shot as other people, it makes the entire community better. Our clients are facing all kinds of challenges right now. We're not talking just about the stuff you see in the news, although that's really important. Raids, places like Minneapolis, Charlotte, Brevard Road, a small one just last week. Those consequences, ripping families apart, change entire trajectories of human lives. But, you know, that's just one part of it with the work that we're doing. You know, let's take asylum, for example. We don't do a lot of asylum, but we do some at our office, and that's frankly been almost completely closed down. Nobody's entering at the border to seek asylum. They're not permitted, no matter what their story may be when they try to seek entry. But even for folks who are here seeking asylum, they might be facing a situation where their case gets denied without even having a hearing, or they show up for a hearing and they get detained, and then maybe they'll be detained and the rules have changed, so they can't even have a chance to fight to get out of detention. All these different parts are sort of building on each other to make life more difficult. Whether they're in violation of due process or not, it is what's happening. People applying for immigration benefits, which is the majority of what we do, seeing higher fees, longer wait times, delays, actual pauses for entire countries of origin, you know, based on generalized fraud accusations or weak vetting procedures and things like this. You know, people have to be careful about what they say, what they do on social media. Political speech is basically off limits for anybody who's a non-citizen if you're trying to be careful. Even folks who applied, entered the United States with permission, got temporary permission to be here, work authorization. Some of that's being taken away. Folks who, you know, did it the right way to come in here and applied for a permanent remedy after they got here. Some of those things are being pulled out from under them, in some cases even being sent to immigration court while they're fighting their case. So these are just a few examples of what we're seeing right now, what our team is working against, what the community is seeing. How we're responding is, you know, just as attorneys, we're constantly having to keep up with these changes, these policies, these practices, trying to foresee them as we can, teach our clients about the risks that may be involved in applying for a benefit. You know, sometimes the answer is going to be, you know, maybe hold off on that. Sometimes it's going to be, I'm sorry, you don't qualify for anything, but to the extent that we move forward with representing folks, we're just having to be extra diligent and extra careful. But, you know, I don't want to be a downer here. We're sorry, we're seeing good results too, right? Like every day, it's slower. We have to be more careful. We get requests for ridiculous evidence, fighting back on things that make us pull our hair out, but we're still getting positive outcomes. So what we're expecting in, you know, the next, I don't know, I think it was like 988 days last time I looked, is more of some really difficult stuff over the next while, right? And, you know, unfortunately, we don't know when it'll get better, but it will get better. And, you know, we expect some more stringent requirements, tough cases, stricter scrutiny. It's going to be difficult, but, you know, our goal, and I feel like we can meet it, is to, you know, the best we can protect our neighbors, work with our allies, and do our part to continue to as many cases as we can and reduce the harm that's going to happen. So with that, move on to our main program. Invite our panelists up here, and my colleague Thalia Hoy, who's going to be moderating the panel for y'all today. Thank you.
Good afternoon. All right, come on up, everyone. Hi, friends. Welcome. I hope you enjoyed your lunch. My name is Thalia Hoy. Can everyone hear me? Okay. As you can see, Jacob, our fearless leader, has not been pulling his hair out. Yes, he does. So I'm on the immigration team. I'm a fully accredited Department of Justice representative. I have been with Pisgah Legal Services for 21 years and counting. Yeah, Thank you. Thank you. I mostly represent immigrant survivors of domestic violence and sexual assault on the immigration team, so also work closely with our domestic violence team. I like to talk a lot, so that's why they put me in the role of moderator today. So I could say so many wonderful things about our panelists, but I'm going to let them introduce ourselves. But I do want to note that between these four individuals, there's 116 years of expertise in running organizations that serve our community here in Western North Carolina. So if you guys, I'm going to move so I can sort of see you. Are you on? Leo?
Hello?
Okay.
Hey, everyone. I'm Leo. I'm an immigration attorney here at Pisgah Legal Services. I primarily work a lot with migrant juveniles, and over the past year, I've done a lot of community outreach and a lot of community education as well.
Hello, Norma Duran Brown. The accent is from Argentina. Don't judge me for that. And founder and executive director of UNETE is a nonprofit that tries to bring, UNETE actually is an invitation in Spanish. People think it's unity, but nothing wrong with unity, but it's an invitation to join us. And actually also means each letter unmet needs inequity, that is the reason we are all here, versus transformational empowerment. And we try to be and work with community health workers. In short, our mission is to promote wellness for the whole person and the whole community. And that means not just the Latino community, even though we are Latino founded, Latino powered, and Latino everything else, but we want to be also that bridge with our Southern Appalachians families, our brothers and sisters from the Black community, so it's much broader. But of course, 80% of our families and individuals are Latinos.
Norm and I both have our cheat sheets, but I don't see her looking at hers. I'm going to look at mine. My name is Mary Ann. I'm the executive director of Vecinos. I've been there for 9 years. We were established in 2004. We are a free clinic, and we provide integrated, bilingual primary care and behavioral health services with wraparound social health. We work very closely with Pisgah Legal Services on a lot of different things, and I also have the honor of being on their board of directors. We provide our services through outpatient and mobile clinics, and we serve the counties west of Buncombe. If you all know of anybody in need of services, healthcare, free healthcare, I do have patient brochures. You are welcome to come up to me afterwards. I can hand you some patient brochures if you know anybody out there. We, as an agency, work to improve access to healthcare and support services for uninsured, so people without health insurance, and under-resourced communities and individuals. Our focus is on farm workers and Latinos, so all of our services are in Spanish or in English. And a lot of our work centers around reducing barriers to care, building trust, that's a big thing, and connecting families to resources, helping people navigate systems, like Jacob was just saying, that often were designed with them not in mind, or maybe were designed with them in mind and keeping them out. So that's one of our big roles, is helping people navigate the healthcare system.
A mí me tocó un micrófono. Gracias. Mi nombre es Dulce y yo represento a CIMA y a la comunidad inmigrante también. Parte del trabajo de CIMA siempre ha sido educar, organizar a la comunidad, y particularmente en estos tiempos es acompañar y proteger a la comunidad de todos los ataques que están viviendo. Por supuesto que seguro que algo me va a faltar de todo el trabajo que se está haciendo, pero acompañamiento es uno de los otros trabajos que se está haciendo, y son dos tipos de acompañamiento diferentes. El acompañamiento a familias que están siendo impactadas, que tienen a un familiar detenido por parte de inmigración, y el otro acompañamiento es hacia personas que están yendo hacia las cortes, ya sea de migración o local, y que tienen un miedo para ir. Entonces se les acompaña y agradezco a todos los voluntarios que hacen posible esta tarea de cuidar a nuestra comunidad.
My name is Dulce. I was given one mic. I'm here representing CIMA, and I'm also here representing my community, the immigrant community. CIMA's work has always been to educate, to organize, and during these times particularly, our work is to accompany people and to protect them against attacks. I'm sure I'm going to forget some of the very important work that we do, but a key part of what we do is accompany people. And right now, accompanying people looks two different ways. One is accompanying families. These are families that are directly impacted, whose family members might have been detained by ICE. And the other way is accompanying people to court. That might be to immigration court, to local court. These are people who are afraid to appear at their court, and so we accompany them in that process. And I appreciate all of the volunteers that make this possible and all of the volunteers who help protect our community.
Okay. Do we have everyone's attention? Okay, thank you all. So with that, we're going to jump in. I feel like this part of the room can't see these panelists. Would it be best if I move this? Are you guys, is that going to help? Okay, here's what we're going to do. Can you help me, Allie? Can you hear? Yep.
Is that better?
Yeah, that's better. Okay, good. She gave me her watch to keep time, and then now she's got me straightened out up here. Okay, can you guys see a little better? I just want you to be able to see everyone. All right, let's jump in. So you don't all have to answer all of these questions. If you feel moved to take them or to play off of each other's answers or add to each other's answers, please feel free. If I interrupt you, it's just in the service of time and keeping my eye on the clock so that we have about 10 minutes at the end for audience questions. So, what's something you wish everyone in this room understood about immigrant communities and their experience in Western North Carolina? Not all at once.
Oh, as an immigrant that I arrived here 26 years ago, one thing I will love, it was understood at that time and is understood right now, is that we have so many different backgrounds, but at the end we share the same humanity. And the backgrounds and the opportunities to access education, resources, health resources, the gap is so immense that even for me, that I came here married with a truly Southern Appalachian, so I have advantage through any other Latino moms, even though with all that privilege, it was rough. The school system, navigating the health system. So I will love everybody has access to meet in depth an immigrant. It doesn't have to be Latino, an immigrant, but in depth and devote time to know their stories. And us, frankly, have tough conversations where dignity and respect guide the conversation so we can ask tough conversations, tough questions like, oh, what's about that? Some families have 4 big trucks, but they also are on a SNAP, right? Have that trust to be able to ask that questions and to be able to hear with an open heart, like some families, there are 3 families living in that trailer, and they share everything, all expenses, and they take turns who buys the first year that nice truck that they used to work. I tried that with my sister. It lasts 6 months. After that. So the inner strength, the idea of family first and family as the big family is something that I had learned working with many of our families. But that takes time, and that takes sincerity, transparency, and investment. So that's what I wish people know more about us.
Thank you. Anybody else on that one?
Sure, I'll speak as well and just kind of play a little bit off of what Norma was talking about. As a white woman, Southern Appalachian woman leading an organization that serves primarily Spanish speakers, I get a very interesting perspective because people from all across the spectrum feel welcome to share their points of view with me. And it causes very interesting conversations. One thing that I have noticed is that it's necessary to state that not all experiences are unilateral, that not everyone has the same experience. So I've heard some people say, well, so-and-so's not illegal, and so they don't have anything to worry about. And it's like, well, there's several things that we're going to unpack there, but one of the big things is you can have an immigration status and still be so deeply concerned that you're scared to leave your house right now. And so that's one thing that I would like to tell more people about, is that what's happening right now affects all kinds of people. I'm married to a naturalized citizen, and in November when ICE came to Charlotte, I was on my kitchen floor crying in fear for my citizen husband because what would happen to us and our family, right? Because apparently citizenship doesn't necessarily mean anything right now. We have employees who have political asylum that some days they don't feel comfortable going to work. We saw ICE out west the other day, and now our political asylum employees are not comfortable driving down the road that ICE was on. And so it impacts our work directly, regardless of immigration status, and also impacts the work of our beneficiaries, of folks that we serve, because now our team is hesitant to enter the areas where we've seen ICE agents come in. And so I think that the message I want to give is not everyone has the same experience. Not everyone is scared to come into work every day, and not everyone thinks that they're, going to get arrested in the next 5 seconds. I've heard even patients tell me, I've never done anything wrong. It doesn't matter whether I have papers or not. I've never done anything wrong. And so I'm fine. So you really see the spectrum of all the comments.
I think the next question really will segue nicely here. What trends are you seeing in your work that you want the audience to know about?
I'll start with that one. Yeah, kind of backing off of what you said. We have a lot of clients, and we have a lot of cases that have been pending for 15, 20 plus years. And so by the time that our clients do get status, it's a great celebration, right? And a lot of those clients will still call us and be like, hey, how's it going? Is there any changes? Is there anything I should know now? And just a couple weeks ago, I had a client who finally had her travel documents and, finally had her status, I think she'd been waiting for a really long time. She was terrified of going to visit family in Texas. And so, it's exactly like you said. Even when you have this status, when you have this piece of paper that says you're no longer undocumented, right? The fear is still there. And that might still not help you, right? You go to the airport and you run into someone who didn't have their coffee that morning, who thinks your document is fake. Good luck proving that your document is authentic, right? And that might have to happen after you've been detained for 5, 6, 7, 8 hours in a small room. So I think that's one of the big trends. The other one is just the delays in applications. Who here is familiar with DACA recipients, right? Deferred Action for Childhood Arrivals. those applications were taking 3 months to process, right? And then people were being told, apply early, go ahead, you'll get your work permit, you can renew your license, that kind of thing. They're taking over 6 months now. And those are people who have deferred action, who are going to be unemployed, who are going to not have their driver's license while their application is pending. And they're doing everything the right way, but just there's delays, right? And so that's just a small little fraction of trends in applications.
Quiero mencionar nada más de la pregunta anterior, qué es lo que quiero que se lleven del aprendido de nuestra comunidad. Es que no somos todo lo que dicen en la televisión, no somos criminales. Y esta retórica, narrativa, la forma en la que nos cuentan de que, solo estamos yendo por lo peor de lo peor, no es verdad. La semana pasada, aquí, en Brevard Road, vinieron a traer o a secuestrar, ese fue un secuestro express, a 3 personas, de las cuales una familia el día de hoy está dividida. La esposa enfrenta muchísimos retos. Eso es parte del cambio que estamos viendo en el trabajo de CIMA, en donde antes CBP llegaba, como cuando llegaron a Charlotte, en montón, agarrando a quienes pudieran, violando derechos y no siguiendo la ley, irónicamente. Hoy en día son estos secuestros express, en donde llegan, agarran a alguien porque no trae una orden de arresto, se van y no se sabe nada de la familia, del ser querido por 12 horas, cuando va bien, cuando no, son más de 2 semanas. Incluso para un abogado, el poder encontrar a la persona ha tomado 2 semanas, 3 para poder hablar con ellos. Esto hace que la comunidad con este tipo de actividades diga, la propia comunidad latina dice, solamente vinieron por ellos porque debían algo. Seguro tenían una corte a la que fallaron y por eso llegaron por ellos. Pero la realidad no es así. Y voy a dejar que interpreten esta parte.
I want to go back to the previous question about what I would like people to what I would like people to know about our community when they leave here today. I want people to know that what you hear on TV isn't true. We're not criminals. And this narrative, this rhetoric of that we're going against the worst of the worst, that's not true. Last week, here on Brevard Road, 3 people were kidnapped, because that's what it was, a kidnapping. And now families are divided. There's a wife who is facing many challenges. And that's what's different right now for CIMA's work. Before, CBP would come, like what they did in Charlotte, and there would be a bunch of them, and they would grab people, and they were violating people's rights, and ironically, they were the ones breaking the law. And that's what this is, again. This is a express kidnappings. They're just grabbing people. They don't have warrants. They grab people, and they leave. Today, what we're seeing is that it might take a family 12 hours to finally locate their loved ones that have been detained. So that's 12 hours that they don't know whether their family member is okay or not okay. It can take 2 weeks to find where they are. It has even taken some of the attorneys that we work with 3 weeks to speak to the detained person. So that's something that's happening. And also, one of the things that is occurring is that within the Latino community, Latinos ourselves are saying, well, they must have done something wrong, right? Those 3 people on Brevard Road, maybe they did something wrong. Maybe they didn't show up to a court date. But that is not the reality.
Y entiendo que a veces los miembros de nuestra comunidad dicen eso para tratar de controlar ese miedo, de vivir más tranquilos, porque la comunidad es fuerte y es resiliente y tiene que salir adelante independientemente de lo que vean. Así significa que el día de ayer se llevaron a alguien. Les ayuda a continuar como debe ser. Otra de los trendings que estamos viendo es que para las familias que están pasando por este proceso, los detenidos que están en los centros de detención están en un cuarto, digamos, la mitad de este espacio. Puedes imaginar teniendo 200 personas allí, sin un lugar en donde poderte sentar o acostar, sin comida suficiente. Las familias también están siendo robadas por este sistema. Es hacer más ricos a los millonarios, a los que están invirtiendo en estos centros de detención. Cuando alguien es transportado de un centro de detención a otro, porque eso es lo que se está viendo, las familias para poder hablar con sus seres queridos necesitan depositar dinero, o ya sea para llamadas o para que ellos puedan comer, porque lo que les dan no es suficiente. Imagina que le pusiste $100 el día de hoy y para mañana ya está en otro centro de detención. Y eso significa tener que poner más dinero porque lo que acababas de poner en el centro de detención anterior no se transfiere junto con ellos. Se queda, se pierde, no hay un reembolso y la familia tiene que volver a poner más dinero para poder tener contacto con sus seres queridos. Hay un retraso en las cortes de migración dentro de los centros de detención y esto yo creo que es algo intencional. Personas que tienen una corte de migración el día de hoy se las aplazan de aquí a 2 meses porque el juez no pudo o porque algo sucedió, pero pues te vas a quedar aquí 2 meses más.
So that part about what I was mentioning about what Latinos are saying to ourselves, we have to say that because we're living with fear, and saying that maybe those people did something that helps calm that fear. The community is strong, the community is resilient, and most importantly, we have to continue forward. We have to go forward. And so those things, when we say those things to ourselves, it helps kind of like calm some of that fear. Some of the other work that we're doing right now is around people who are detained. So I want you all to imagine this space, maybe half of this space is a detention center where people are being held. And now I want you to imagine that there's about 200 people in about half of this room. There's no place to sit, there's no place to lay down, there's not enough food. And at the same time, families are being robbed. Who's getting rich? The people who make money off of these detention centers. So let's say that somebody is detained and their family member wants to deposit some money either because they want to make a phone call or because since there's not enough food, they want to put some money into their commissary. So a family goes and deposits $100. Then the next day, that person may be transferred to another detention center because that's something that we're seeing is that people are being transferred to different detention centers. So that person is then transferred to a detention center, and what happens to that money? That money stays at the detention center. It doesn't follow that. So now the family has to find another $100 to deposit so that their family member can make calls or have enough food to eat. Another thing that we're seeing is delays. So delays in court appointments. And I believe that this is intentional. So let's say that an appointment is being pushed back around 2 months because the judge can't go there or because something is happening.
Okay. The next question, I want to make sure that this one gets in. What are the biggest gaps for support that you see in our community? And for people that are here today, what are useful and concrete ways that they can get involved to maybe plug up some of those gaps?
Okay, I guess the gray hair. Just well, the gaps are so many, and for the community, for the organization serving the community, and our organization that had the audacity to talk about wellness. Wellness is not just, it's everything. It's access to, covers all the social determinants of health. So we are seeing gaps in financial assistance right now across all the organizations. We cannot deny that we're still suffering the impact of Helene. We are seeing in some parts of the immigrant community that when Helene happened, they asked for loans from relatives, friends, and some moved to apartments or a house that was way out of the budget, but they wanted to prioritize to stay in the school district, to don't be displaced for a long time. So they did that move, thinking that in 1 year, things were going back to normal. And something very common also in not only the immigrant community, also in our working poor, is to have 2 jobs. Thinking, yes, I have a loan with my cousin for $7,000 and I will be able to return it later. Well, things are not at that point. Works haven't been all open up. It's not easy to work 2 jobs like I used to. So we are receiving so many requests for financial assistance that right now it's very difficult to respond to evictions. Duke Energy has this wonderful, I don't know how to call it, let's put wonderful, that people come with $1,000. They let them keep accumulating, and it makes so challenging. So the gap, even though there are amazing organizations invested in recovery and trying to bring fundings to nonprofits that offer financial assistance, is an amazing gap. And the other one is access to mental health providers, that they are bilingual in whatever language is needed. That is another tremendous gap. How I see people assisting, well, UNETE has so many ways. We have UNETE Community Tuesdays. We have where we serve 250 families every week with volunteer souls. We serve 163 Latino students every week through our youth programs, most of them newcomers in middle school and high school. So tutors, this is a magnificent month to help because everybody wants to do homework in the last month of school. The semester is just, I go like, oh, everybody's quiet and so concentrate. But yes, check any of our friends. I was one day, I received a call at 6:30 in the morning. At 7:30, I was already talking with somebody from CIMA to help a gentleman that have a court that day. So it's not just vecinos, we have the pleasure also. I was a migrant recruiter, so once that you are a migrant recruiter and serve our farmers, it stays with you in your heart forever. So please, if you have time to dedicate to any of the organizations, and there are more, of course, or support our amazing immigrants, attorneys in Pisgah, please consider doing so.
Okay, I'm gonna move to the next question because it's kind of the other side of that, which is, are there things that allies are doing to try to support immigrant communities that actually aren't helpful?
Sí. Una en particular. Si en algún momento llegas a ser testigo de una actividad de una detención por parte de migración, por favor, si vas a grabar, no pidan la información personal de quien ha sido detenido, como el nombre completo, de dónde eres, cuál es tu estatus. Eso no ayuda a la persona, pero lo que sí pueden hacer es decir, ¿cuál es tu nombre? ¿A quién podemos llamar para avisar lo que está pasando? No posteen estos videos en redes sociales, compártalos con organizaciones como CIMA, Siembra, que están haciendo este trabajo para apoyar a la comunidad.
Yes, there is one thing in particular. If you happen to witness any detentions or people being detained or any kind of ICE activity, please, if you are recording, if you have the opportunity to record, please do not ask people's information. So if you're recording, don't say, what is your full name? Where are you from? What is your legal status? That does not help people. What you can do is ask, what is your first name? Who can I contact to let them know what is happening? Don't post anything, or don't post these videos or share these videos on social media. You can share them with CIMA, with Siembra, and other organizations that are currently doing this kind of work.
Okay. We've touched on that. I'm going to really make sure we have time for audience questions. And I'd like to hear a little bit from each of you on this last one here. This work is really challenging and heavy, especially right now. What is giving you hope? Norma. I'm looking at you.
Do you really believe that gray hair comes with wisdom? No, not always. Not always. Not in this case, I think. Well, my son thinks, not in my case. For me, is being on Community Tuesdays or with the youth. When I see that the community that is under attack is able to gather in our community space and chat and show interest in programs and laugh. And we have a group of elders that they are amazing, 60 plus. I wanted to call them adults or elders club. They say, no, Doña Norma, no way. So they call themselves Forever Young in English. So being in contact with them takes away that heaviness, because I don't have the right to be in an absolutely grief mode if they are holding to hope and to their resiliency. So, and I get that of everybody that visits us with Tuesdays or Thursday with the youth, that is so inspiring and so moving, because we realize, okay, I need to find a way to be strong, to be hopeful. And the beauty of our framework is that our community workers belongs to the community. And yes, you are opening your own wounds, serving your own people, but also seeing them doing the amazing things they do on daily basis, and the moms, it gives me hope. So you are invited any day to visit us.
I just had to think about it for a second. I think the two things that give me hope, and I'll be quick, is how motivated and passionate people are about what's going on. That people realize that if someone can be arrested without an arrest warrant, just because they're an immigrant or undocumented or whatever, then as a citizen, your rights are also under threat, because that legal reasoning is going to be the same whether you were born here or not. And so it gives me hope that people are realizing, that that's a big red flag. That's something that we should be concerned about. And then the second thing is just how present our community has been for the immigrant community. A couple months ago, we had a member of the community who had to travel to Nebraska to pick up some family members who were in crisis. And we were able to find a volunteer from the community that drove that person all the way there to pick up their family and then come back. And to me, you know, it just reminded me of the goodness of people, right? Like, it restored my faith in humanity. So it's things like that just bring me hope, and, you know, just keep reminding me that, like, this is good work. So.
You asked a bunch of community leaders what gives us hope, so of course our answer is going to be all the same: community. Not super different, but when I feel overwhelmed, or like I just want to stress clean my kitchen and then cry for a little while on the floor on a Tuesday night, what I think about it, that's not very specific, which hasn't happened before. This is a safe space, right? The thing that really gives me hope is knowing that it is not just me, like, it's not me against the world, it's not Vecinos against the world, that we have all of our partners. I could call on any one of these Pisgah Legal staff members and say, this is what's going on, and if nothing else, they'll listen to me while I kind of talk through it. I could call Norma and she'd be like, I'll be there, let's take care of this together. It's all together, and I think that is what gives me the most hope. Wow. From a community perspective. And then on the internal side of Vecinos, also knowing that our staff shows up every single day. Many of our staff members they are in this country because they have been persecuted in this exact way from their own government agencies. They are here on political asylum. They have lived through this. They have gone through Los Secuestros Express. They know, and they know that if they go back to their community, their family will never hear from them again, let alone in 3 weeks. And yet, they still show up to help everyone else. I think that's what gives me the most hope.
Gracias. La unidad de la comunidad, la fuerza de las familias que están pasando por esta crisis y la crisis después de la crisis, y que aún así siguen peleando, siguen luchando, y sobre todo que no se sienten solos, porque hay aliados, porque hay amigos. Eso es lo que me da fe, esperanza, porque el amor, aunque suene a cliché, es más fuerte que todo. Yeah.
What gives me hope is unity, the community, the strength that the families have in crisis, and then they face that crisis, and then they face the crisis after that crisis, and they keep fighting because they know that they're not alone. They have allies, they have friends, and that's what gives me faith, that's what gives me hope, is love. I mean, even though it sounds a little bit cliche, love is bigger than all of this, is stronger than all of this.
Thank you. Okay, on that note, we're going to open it up to audience questions. I do think we have got a couple of mics that are going to float around. If you have a specific question, let me rephrase that, a general question, not too specific, but keep it to the topic and make it general. We're not going to be able to answer any questions about specific cases or specific individuals. So if you would like to ask a question, just raise your hand and Leslie will bring you the mic, please. And we do have about 7 minutes.
Got it.
I'm an immigrant myself, so take this with a grain of salt. I do not think all the people who voted for the orange one are racists and bigots. What can we do to convince these people that A, we are serious when we are saying we no longer want open borders? What can we do to these people? This was bad, what we liberals did, but what is happening now is equally bad. So, not just preaching to the choir, what can we do so we win this next election? Because that's the only thing that will change it. Not prayers, not love, I'm afraid to say.
Anybody want to tackle that with a lens to, thinking about immigration policy, workable immigration policy?
Okay, I'm kidding. Well, that's a good question. But I think it's important to know that the issue, the immigration thing, it wasn't just over the last 4 years or the last 8 years. It's been something that's been happening since the 90s, right? And so, when I was in college, I did a internship, and we went to the Democratic National Convention in Charlotte. And we spoke with leaders in the Democratic Party who promised they would take action on immigration, and they didn't. And Republicans and Democrats have both, they both have different stances on those issues. So, different administrations have different approaches, but I don't think it's fair to just blame one side or the other. And if this is something that you're very passionate about and you want to see changes, we're nonpartisan, but the thing I always say at my presentations is go speak to your elected officials. Let them know that, hey, I'm serious about this. Let's secure our borders. Let's make sure that we're investing in smart technologies to help prevent people from coming in and risking their lives crossing the desert. But hey, these people that are also working and they've been here for 20 years who are paying their taxes, let's figure out a right way to help them out. So if that's something that you're very passionate about, the best thing you can do is make your voice heard and vote for candidates that align with your values.
Just very quick, and also give very tangible information. It always works for me to have a copy of the Bulletin of Immigrations, whatever, is that where you can see how long it takes to come to this country legally, to say it like that. So when people see that and see the seal of the government on top and it's printed and say, what, 25 years? They're shocked. Nobody thinks it's, going, you apply, and that's it. No. So being familiar with that type of data and sharing that is always very, very eye-opening, and also how much we contribute in taxes, etc. Sorry.
I have a kind of general question that, here I am. I wonder if you know if there are organizations like Pisgah Legal around the country. That would give me a lot of hope to know that communities all over the country are making these same efforts and people are trying to help.
I would say there's a lot of different organizations, just like Pisgah Legal Services. There are.
I think I would add to that too, there are organizations similar to all of the organizations represented on the panel today. We have, at Pisgah, we have a directory of other legal service providers, Catholic social services, places that do work similar to us, but any of these people would know where their cousin organizations are throughout the country. That's a great point. This is going to actually probably be our last question, so go for it.
So because we know that any encounter with ICE, whether we are a citizen or non-citizen, can escalate quickly, what are our basic rights to help each other in that situation if we see something happening?
That's a good question. So I think it just depends on the individual. If you're being detained or if you're observing, you do have the freedom of speech. You do have the right to record in public, but you do not have the right to obstruct, law enforcement. So it's probably a bit more complicated than I have time to get into up here. We can talk afterwards, and I can send you a bunch of links of resources I've given out to the community. But like Dulce said, if you're seeing something, do not ask for personal information. Record, provide your video to the community organizations, to the family. Protect yourself, prioritize your own safety. Just be a witness.
We do have red cards on the table outside of this room, I was made aware. So I'm going to close us up. I've got some thanks to give. And I'm going to start with saying thank you to Tammy and Best Buy Metals. Thank you for sponsoring this and giving us a space to do this, and good food, trusting Pisgah Legal Services to have an authentic, meaningful conversation with the community. Thank you to the development team, A+ again. And I want to say thank you to the audience for your questions. Thank you for showing up today. Showing up today means that you care all the other days too. So really happy to be in a room with all of you. And the panelists, you guys, Leo, Norma, Marianne, Dulce, Ada, Omar, thank you so much for your skills, your knowledge, your passion, your compassion. We've been compañeros a long time, and I hope we continue to be. Our community and our country is better because you guys are in it. So thank you. I'm honored to know you. It's really nice.